hedgehog of human proportion in denims and a plaid jacket, out here on this little steel island, smoking and drinking shine and eating what it could gather from the waters. A shunned creature, misunderstood by society, confused as to the true nature of its own civility. A kind of friar whose madness was a direct result of its sequestration. Its designs apocalyptic, no matter the hour. There was only the end, and the end was coming. The furnace of its eyes red, like pilot lights in a relentless twilight. Herring sat on a junk of steel and drank his rum. He thought this could be a place just for him, where he could sit and conjecture about the world, drink himself into an oblivion. And then he thought he'd probably never come back to this place. He watched the sun rise and push the shadows up the river. Vehicles rolled over the bridge in town, rubber and snow on frozen asphalt, their moans low and pompous, as if endlessly circling the bell of a tuba. He listened to the shifting ice, the crack of its language, long whimpers and lashes of excitement. And there was a syncopated quality to these sounds, the tires on the bridge and the ice below, that suggested a relationship, some finer arrangement. He'd been thinking about time lately, in the middle of the night, while the winds shook the house, wrapped up, alone, in the bed that Una and he had shared. Murphy, too. His toes and fingers so cold that they were glib vexations, smarmy, while the center of him, his guts, were like a furnace. His mind so tired and begging for sleep, pleading, "Give me sleep." And in this kind of delirium, he had begun to understand, to realize, and to know that his time was limited, that in fact his time was running out, that he had spent all the years of living he had managed to cobble together, that his line of credit had reached its end. There was a future version of him who was very much dead and gone, even thoroughly forgotten. He felt his mind do a strange thing, as if he were an engine and the timing belt he required to synchronize and convert his motions was slipping. There was a tick in him that he could no longer avoid. Una was away, gone back to being a McGinnis. She had forsaken the herring mantle. He felt all of these things. He felt them deeply, and he didn't know what to do, how to proceed. Murphy, this little Heinz 57 of a mutt they'd had for years, died a few days before Christmas, and Herring just didn't have the heart to tell Una and the girls. He couldn't face being the bearer of so much sadness and darkness. One summer day, years ago, Una had gone into town for groceries and come back with a new puppy and a bag of feed. At first, he hadn't wanted the dog, this sad-looking little thing, but then he took her down to the shore, and while he swam about, the thing followed him out into the water, not entirely sure how to swim, but somehow making all this panic and thrashing keep her afloat, and she nearly scratched the skin off his back. He carried her in, and Una had been amazed at the damage done to his skin. 40 lashes minus 1, she said, her fingers on his back as if he were a tablet of Braille, the blood dripping down into his swimming trunks while the wet pup shivered between his legs. They named her Murphy, and now she was dead. He'd put her in a clear garbage bag and set her in one of the bait freezers in the basement. She'd been such a noble beast, and he couldn't bear the thought of her frozen body alone, neglected, and without committal. And so, on Christmas night, as the winds howled from out of the darkness, and after a great lack of sleep and a gutload of shine, he ran power from the barn to the sentry oak, and fetched his chipping gun and a shovel, and he dug her a grave well below the frost line. It was slow going, and he felt like a deranged thing. With every inch he burrowed down.